How are you feeling after Colorado State 20 to
Yeah, I
3
mean,
win?
great. We were watching the game together. Obviously, we were hanging out at Flat Stick in Pioneer Square, watching the game with our good friend Michael Preston and a couple of your friends from T Town there, and it was exactly what we needed to see. What was kind of weird about it, and I think that, it's funny. Like I would expect a game like this where you only give up 3 points, and you mentioned that's kind of where the emphasis is, and I think rightly so, right? It's you would think that only giving up 3 points would be sort of cause for people to be euphoric, right? Given especially what had been and all those things, I think there's a couple things at play. I think one is because it seems like people are a little subdued about it, to some degree, maybe not as fired up as I might expect. And I think so. I think there's kind of two things in play there. One is I think our trust isn't all the way back yet.
100%, yeah.
Like you give two games of giving up damn near 60 points. I mean that's um, going to take a little more than one game against a team that honestly has struggled to score all year. Doing a good thing against them. It's going to take a little more than that to win people all the way back. And then I just think the second half kind of not that the defense had any second half issues, but it was like the offense didn't run away from Colorado State in the second half. And I think that kind of I think that put a little bit of a damper on how people felt about it, even though obviously that has nothing to do with the defense. And in a lot of ways, it was kind of they were kind of like two games, one on either side of the half, because it was 20-3 at halftime. If you look at the first half stats, WSU was pretty dominant, for the most part. The yards per play maybe don't totally show it. I mean, the defense gave up 6.1 yards per play. So that's not, dominant, but at the same time, like, Colorado State didn't get in the end zone. They didn't really actually even really come close to getting in the end zone.
Right.
They got 2 field goal attempts. The offense, on the other end, 246 yards in the first half. You're on pace for 500 yards. That's 20 points. That's great. You expect that to kind of keep rolling. And then it didn't in the second half. And to me, it felt like, that basically WSU was just kind of managing the game in the second half, which, is not something I super love just because I like my team's aggressive and, I'm like Mike Leach, like run it up, let's go. But at the same time, I think after the last couple of weeks, it kind of made sense, to make sure that none of the stuff from the last 2 weeks kind of crept back in, that you didn't have any risky turnovers. We're not like trying to step on somebody's throat and then all of a sudden throw an interception that sort of flips the field and changes the game. I think the way Jimmy Rogers managed it was pretty smart, even if we would have all loved to, put a couple more touchdowns on the board in the second half.
Yeah, and there was a couple drives late, like their second drive of the third quarter, because Colorado State had a really long drive with no points in
Yes.
the third quarter.
Yep.
And so they only had, I think, 2 possessions in the third quarter. Their
They had
first was
three
a
in
mess.
the entire second half. Three in the
Yeah.
whole second half.
Okay. Was that Colorado State or WSU? WSU.
Colorado State only had three in the whole second half.
Yeah, and WSU must have had 4. Um,
Yes.
But so two of those. So the first drive was just a big downer, 3 and out right away. Give them the ball back because you're thinking, all right, get a touchdown here. We are done and dusted. Yeah. Even a field goal, even just anything like any points,
Or even
would
just
have
flip the
been,
field.
Yeah, yeah, even
Like
just but no, that didn't happen.
something.
But the second drive and the third drive, they actually did. They came out and pass, and there was a couple drops. There was a couple bad throws that kind of mitigated what could have happened. And I think there was an effort in the second half on a couple drives to actually put it away, like actually stretch it out, put it away. It's just harder to accept that sometimes because the drives are so limited, because Colorado State had that like 8-minute drive. And so it's harder to kind of accept that, and then when they're the end, they're just trying to run the clock out, and then their first drive is such a sputter, and they did it on the first drive of the second half, and they do it too much, and it gets frustrating, and it gives this feeling that they are just trying to like ground control the ground. Is they so often on second and 10, around second
Run
and
the
10,
ball.
second plus, is run the ball, which is the most
Yeah.
frustrating thing. We dealt with this in many a Seahawk Pete Carroll season where it was like
Yes.
automatic second and 10 run, and they do that so much. They do it on third and 10 a lot too, especially when Potter was QB. It's frustrating, one, because it's just such a bad move in general, but it's a really bad move when you have this type of running game where it's struggling to get yards. So you're basically saying, like, we're going to 3rd and 8. We're going to
Right.
3rd and 7, because you're
Right.
not taking them by surprise. You're doing it every time. If they watch tape, they see you're gonna run on 2nd and 10, and so that's the thing that frustrates me. They did that multiple times, and then you put your quarterback and your offensive line in a bind, and your receivers for that matter. Just put everyone in a bind when it's 3rd and 10, the most obvious of passing downs. And yeah, and so that's just real frustrating. Overall, yeah, like I get why people had the downer, because it would have been you'd felt much better. Honestly, if it was 31-13, I think people would have, or 30-13, I think people would have felt
Yeah.
better.